On the field, off the field, sports talk, entertainment, and more. This is Sauce on the Side.
Well, hello there, Dippers, and welcome back to episode 67 of the Sauce on the Side podcast. As always, Dippers, I'm your host, Dre, joined by the man, the producer, Leighton Bib Shaventone.
There's a long way to open the show today. I wanted to say Red Sox 2018 World Series champions. I wanted to go back with reminisce on time me and our former host, Coach C, argued about why the Red Sox wouldn't win 100 games and wouldn't win the AL East. I wanted to be condescending and thank Dave Roberts for his crisp managerial decisions like pulling Baez guy and putting Kike Hernandez in between Jacob Turner and Manny Machado in Game 5. But although it can just be summed up by saying one thing, and I shouldn't say it. Sing it, Drake! Ba, ba, ba. Good times never seem so good.
So good, so good, so good. And our guest host for the day, the doghouse is back, Jared Diesel Darty.
I'm not ready to hear Leighton for the next however many months until baseball starts again.
Oh yeah, baseball season could not start soon enough. Well, then we'll have to hear the repeat stuff. So next World Series, start it tomorrow. Dippers, we have an awesome show for you today. Of course, Leighton gets to pat himself on the back all show as the Red Sox are your MLB champions. Guys, we're going to talk a little bit about basketball, break down the huge college football weekend that we have in store for us, and we actually have a very good interview with Krysten Peak as our boy Fletch from Hump Day Hoops Hysteria brought her into the kennel. So that is definitely something to look forward to. Guys, we'll start it off hot and heavy. Leighton C., take your 2 minutes in glory. The Red Sox are World Series champions.
With the Red Sox winning the 2018 World Series, I repeated the following statement. This is their fourth World Series this millennium, most of any team. Therefore, I'm okay with trading John Lackey in 2014 for Alan Craig and Joe Kelly. I'm okay not signing John Lester in the offseason of 2015. I'm okay trading Yoenis Cespedes for Rick Porcello. I'm okay trading budding stars Yoel Moncada and Michael Kopech for Chris Sale. I'm okay trading Manuel Margot for Craig Kimbrell. I'm okay trading Travis Shaw for Tyler Thornburg. I'm kind of okay with trading Anderson Espinoza, who was throwing 99 miles per hour at age 18, for Drew Pomeranz. I'm okay that we did not trade ALCS MVP Jackie Bradley Jr. for Yasiel Puig. I'm okay with waiting until the weeks before spring training to sign JD Martinez. I'm happier than ever that we fired John Farrell for Alex Cora. I'm okay with rolling with Sandy Leon and Christian Vasquez as catcher for this season. I'm okay with rolling with Henry Ramirez and Miss Moore at first base. I'm okay cutting Henry Ramirez and paying him $22 million to sit on a beach in Miami. I'm okay trading minor league infielder Santiago Espinal for World Series MVP Steve Pearce. I'm okay trading Jalen Beeks for Nathan Eovaldi. I'm okay seeing Pat and not trading for a bullpen on the trade deadline. And finally, I'm okay paying David Price $217 million over 7 seasons, $32 million through 2022. Chris Sale won't win the AL Cy Young Award, Alex Cora might not win the AL Manager of the Year, and baseball writers, go ahead and do what you all want to do and give the AL MVP to Mike Trout. Because individual awards do not matter, all that matters happens last night. Championships cannot be debated on just by people who think they're baseball know-it-alls and smartest people in the world. They're decided by the best team. And 2018 Red Sox were the best team. They're the best team in spring training, they're the best team in the regular season, and the best team in the postseason. They might be the best baseball team ever. And after having a combined record of 119 and 57 in the regular season and postseason, Freddie, take it away. We are.
I didn't know you had any of that prepared. I'll just be honest. And right now, Leighton looks like a defensive lineman who just ran back a touchdown for 75 yards as he's now hitting an oxygen mask.
He's on the sound bites today.
Yeah, big on the sound bites. Yeah, I didn't know you had all that prepared.
Yeah, it was just last 2 hours. I really had to think back having all these players.
You guys did not have any success with a lot of those trades.
We just won the World Series with Joe Kelly.
Yeah, I know. I honestly don't. I don't know how that's all possible. Everything that you had talked about, all the negatives with this team leading back a few years, it's pretty remarkable that they still find success. You know, like a lot of those trades you got shafted on.
Yeah.
I'll be the first to say that. Like a couple of the
Rick Rousseau won a Cy Young somehow,
Yes,
but
Rick
he's
Porcello,
not a Cy Young winning pitcher.
Bringing in Pomeranz.
Drew Pomeranz. That was the one I'm not really okay with. But I'm definitely not okay with paying Paulo Sandoval any amount of money still.
Yeah.
Definitely not on that.
Yeah, you guys still
Does he
won.
get a
You don't
ring?
have to write the checks.
No, he left last year.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
I'm
if
pretty
he
sure
got
we're
a
paying
ring.
him $18 million next year still.
That's not. That's just
To hang out in San Francisco and eat burritos and
Yeah.
cheeseburgers.
He's probably making more money than Sandy Leon or Vasquez for the next upcoming years.
Probably for their entire careers combined, we didn't make that much money, I'm sure.
That's hilarious. Diesel, what were your thoughts on the World Series? Leighton's obviously spilled them all out on the table. What did you think about this World Series?
I mean, nobody came close to the Red Sox all year. They really
No.
didn't. The Dodgers looked. They did. I mean, that Kershaw was out there as the best option, and they were just raking on him.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
Do you feel bad for Kershaw, though? I mean, if you look at the score, the Red Sox scored 28 runs in this World Series. Kershaw was responsible for 9 of them.
what's remarkable, I think, is that every other team looked so tired when the Red Sox played them, and they didn't. I think there's a lot of benefit in having such a cushion at the end of the season, which I
Yeah.
think that helped them too. I feel like looking at the last couple World Series teams, that's a pretty key part.
Yeah, and
Not having to go balls to the wall that last 3 weeks.
And a lot of people look at it the opposite way. You know, they think, oh, you have to be hot whenever you're going into the postseason. Well, the last 2 series kind of proved that was not the case.
Yeah, we didn't look super great going into the series. But this whole season, beginning to end was just kind of perfect. And looking at the last 2 World Series champions, the Astros and the Cubs, pretty sure the Cubs, though, because that 2016 season, from day 1, you guys look like the best team in baseball. And Joe Madden, just everything he did worked out great. And that's what Alex Cora did this year. So I guess we're now en route for a pretty steep decline in productivity from our batters, but we got this one. So I'm not going to bitch for at least 2 seasons about it.
At least 2
Yeah,
seasons.
it like I said it last week. It just felt like the Red Sox were going to win the World Series before it even started.
Yeah, they
just
were
felt like their year.
head and shoulders above everybody else. They were such a good team this year that they won every single series on the road. You know how impressive that is to do? You have to, as far, just in the postseason I'm talking, you obviously have to get the 1 seed in order to close it out, in that spectacular fashion. They lost 1 game in each of the series, which forced them, obviously, to win every single game on the road.
Yeah, see, this really apologize to the fans. Because the fans got screwed out of seeing any advancement.
Yeah, that's the problem with having a team that was too good.
I
It's
bet
really
they're
unfair.
okay with it.
It's kind of unfair, honestly.
Is this Red Sox team even worried about their fans?
They don't care.
They must not care.
They don't care. They're so selfish about themselves.
That's just not right.
But before we move on, one thing no one's talking about, as been reported anyway, it's kind of a big issue. The Red Sox are on pace to win every World Series to the end of time.
That is true.
And we're on pace to never lose a game again.
Yeah,
It's facts.
yeah, that is true. If you look back at the last World Series, they're on pace to win every single one.
We're on pace to never lose a World Series again.
So guys, Leighton, you want to say anything else about the Red Sox? Because after this, we're putting them to bed till next baseball season.
I love all you guys. And Kershaw's going to opt out.
Oh, okay, that would be kind of interesting.
Oh, and please go get JT Realmuto. I don't want to see Vasquez and Leon again. I catch him next season.
What about Machado? You want him to go ahead and stay with the Dodgers?
Yeah, stay in the National League. Stay far away from us. I don't need you kicking my players or
Just
spiking
don't
me
play
back
the
in knee.
division. We went
Yes.
first baseman. We need their ankles.
Yeah, no kidding. You guys, I'm already putting 3 guys on the DL next year for the Red Sox, just if he goes to the AL.
Yeah,
You guys are going to be out of first baseman by the end of the year.
yeah. It'd be terrifying.
Achilles injuries forever.
Terrifying.
So guys, little NFL Week 7 recap. Things got started off hot in London on Sunday. First, the Jags pulled a little play out of the UCLA basketball playbook. 4 players got arrested overseas. Then they followed that up with the loss to the Eagles. Apparently, they ran up a $64,000 bar tab. Just think about that for a minute. Think about the best time you ever had out, and compare that to how great it would have been if you'd have spent $64,000 somewhere. They apparently thought that some of the drinks were a gift, and they refused to pay the bar. I guess they called the police, and a few guys got detained. Is this just a team that can't get out of its own way? I mean, they do. It's just goofy stuff after goofy stuff, and it just seems to build up to this.
Okay, so first on the bar issue, I have two possible reasons why they were so mad. A pound, it's what London's currency is 1.28 US dollars. So the tab could have been $81,000 in American money. Or they could have thought it was going to be like, I don't know, 40-something thousand dollars, which is still a lot of money to pay.
I didn't even think about that.
The next part is, how do they think that they were gifts? Like, were they not ordering the drinks?
No, they said as soon as they walked in, like, they just handed all of them like a bottle of champagne, and the champagne was like apparently like super expensive, and they thought that it was just like a gift from the bar.
Okay, well, I mean,
I'll tell you what. Allen Iverson somewhere is smiling so big that they could get the tab up that high.
Dude, you think he's like in charge of player personnel? I mean, that's really the only thing that I could see of how you could do this. That's remarkable.
No, it's crazy. When I read that, because again, like I'm still a little pissed from last year's playoffs.
Yeah, you're not a big Jags guy.
The Jags can. I hope they fall flat on their face. And like when I read this, it was too good to be true.
Yeah, unbelievable circumstances there. Do you guys think that this kind of marks the end of their season?
well, I don't want to say that yet because they're 3-5, and there are some teams in the AFC that honestly would be great to get the second wild card spot. But the team isn't very good right now. Like, the defense wasn't good last year, and through 8 games, they only put up 20 points or more twice.
I'm pretty sure.
So, like,
last year the defense was doing that. Last year the defense was putting down 20 points.
That's the defense scoring 14 points a game.
Yeah.
And now that it's not doing that, the offense is really showing just how poorly it is when they can't get a pick six or a strip sack in the red zone every time.
I can't remember if the stat was before the game in London or after, but their defense was ranked like 25th in yards against. And they're just not playing. The defense isn't even looking good. Yeah, but if you think about it, 3-5 now, do you think the Jaguars can go 6-1 the rest of the season to go 10-6? That's probably what it will take to make the playoffs on a normal year.
Yeah,
I don't think they can.
Well, they play Houston again, so that's the one loss.
They're gonna play Houston. The Colts. I feel like the Colts are just gonna ruin seasons down the road here. I think they're kind of done.
I think they've played the Colts twice.
Okay, yeah. So that's the way that they've been looking. I mean, hell, I don't know if
I mean, would you be surprised if Andrew Luck goes out there, throws the ball 70 times, and at the end of the game they have 35 points on the board? Like, are the Jags going to keep up with that?
Yeah, no, exactly.
They had the Colts, Steelers, which you guys could play spoiler, Bills, Colts again, and Titans. They have to almost win every single one of those games. Like, the next 5 weeks. Like, if they do anything other than go 4-1 or 5-0, I'm putting a bow on their season.
Yeah, I mean, Jared, I didn't think about that, but yeah, I can't see him going 6-1.
And like really, what they've got to do is obviously quarterback is not the place where they're going to be able to lean on. They're not going to be like in a big moment. They can't lean on their quarterback. So they've either got to get like the best rushing offense in the league again, or the defense has got to get to number 1 or 2 again.
Yeah, I
it's
think
for the rest of the year.
This stems all the way back to Leonard Fournette being out. I think that 98% of their problem is Leonard Fournette being out, because whenever you can run the ball successfully, you shorten the clock, and the other team gets fewer possessions. And I feel like the Jags are on defense 90% of their games. Like, you look up, either they have a huge play off of Blake Bortles' wild throw where a guy, huge catch and run, or he throws an interception, or they punt it on a 3-and-out. So the defense is on the field way too much. I'm willing to say that if they do anything other than 4-1 over the next 5, they're done. Toast.
Yep. I agree with that.
So, guys, we're going to have a little fun here with this. We're going to stay on scandals. Chad Kelly made the news this past weekend. Apparently got kicked out of Von Miller's party for the team. It was a Halloween party, so obviously Chad Kelly was dressed up as a cowboy. So during this story, just envision Chad Kelly dressed up as a cowboy, gets kicked out of the party, tries to fight with the bouncers, walks down the road a few blocks, and takes the wrong turn and ends up in somebody else's house. Sits in the front room.
We've all been there.
Yeah, I mean, who hasn't been there? And sits on the couch, and apparently, like, mumbled some incoherent stuff to this lady and her kid, and then next thing he knows, Dad's in there with some extension pieces of a vacuum cleaner, kicking Chad Kelly's ass, for lack of a better term. So guys, Chad Kelly, he's a young guy, probably has more scandals than any other player I can think of before the age like 25, 26. We're going to rank them. I have 4 of the best Chad Kelly scandals right in front of me. All of them are very well known. We'll start off, obviously, we'll call this one Vacuum Gate.
Okay. One question about Vacuum Gate. Were the bouncers high school kids? I know they like to fight high school kids.
That one's actually on the list, too.
Oh, okay,
I don't think they were high school kids.
Also, how do you party so hard that Von Miller kicks you out?
Yeah, I know, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the first take. That's the first thought I had.
yeah, especially whenever you're in there, like, wearing a cowboy hat and everything. You'd think Von Miller would be like, this guy's awesome, you know? Like, if you get kicked out of Von Miller's party, you're doing something wrong. I don't know if he had a $64,000 bar tab, so we'll just leave that out. We'll call that one Vacuum Gate. And then we have, we'll call this one Khalifa Gate. Slides into Mia Khalifa's DMs the week that they were going to play like Florida State, asked her if she was going to be coming to the game. She shut him down, posted all the stuff on social media, obviously. And then Chad Kelly, shoot his shot again, dives back into her DMs. Did not learn the first time. We'll call that one Khalifa Gate. So that is the second Chad Kelly scandal. Third one on the list, Chopper Gate. So back whenever he was at Clemson, apparently went to a bar, probably got in the same state that he was whenever he got beat up by a vacuum cleaner, got in a little tussle with some guys. I do not know if they had their Tyson ball vacuum with them, but either way, he started yelling, telling him that he was going to go back to his house and bring his chopper, which is an AK-47, back up to the club. So Chopper Gate, and then we have Bleacher Gate. Bleacher Gate, he went to go watch his brother play in a high school football game whenever he was supposed to be preparing for the draft, or last year at Ole Miss, around that time. And, you know, Chad Kelly, in all accounts, is a grown man, sitting up there, late hit on his brother. Next thing you know, Chad Kelly's on the field trying to fight high school kids. Yelling at him, telling him he's going to beat him up, all this stuff. The whole 9 yards. So we have Vacuum Gate, Khalifa Gate, Chopper Gate, Bleacher Gate. Guys, rank them 1 through 4. What are your favorite Chad Kelly moments?
Are you ranking just by how crazy they are, or just by funniness? Because Vacuum Gate's number 1. Vacuum Gate, I didn't know that story until just right now. Like, all the details. That's probably the funniest thing I've heard.
Do we agree Vacuum Gate's number 1?
I had Vacuum Gate at number 3.
I like Chopper Gate.
Chopper Gate's good, too.
Yeah, Chopper Gate's my number 1.
Yeah, I think Chopper Gate's a good one.
I think put that at number 2.
So the Khalifa one's 4.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, that's 4. Like, that could happen to anybody. The only person who did not fall victim of that, Juju Smith-Schuster. She actually tweeted him, said he was her favorite player. He said, I'm not going to fall for this trick.
All right.
So, Khalifa, it's understandable. So we have number 1, Chopper Gate. Do you guys agree with that? Because I think Chopper Gate is my favorite.
I think Chopper Gate's my favorite.
Chopper Gate's good. I don't know. I have Vacuum Gate, man.
Vacuum Gate is hilarious.
The fact that he walked into the wrong person's house
This is a good lineup. This is four solid ones.
But, like, Chad Kelly, I don't know if he... Obviously, like, if he's sitting on the couch, like, mumbling incoherently, like, he had no idea what he was doing. But to yell at somebody and tell him that you're going to go get your chopper and be back at the bar, you know damn well what you're doing. Like, you meant that. You meant that. He didn't mean to get beat up with the vacuum cleaner.
He also jumped the fence and went out and tried to fight high school
kids.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, too.
That's probably that might be the most embarrassing one.
Yeah, that one's pretty embarrassing.
That might be.
Because you're actually doing something. Like,
you're
not
like
just saying
doing
something.
the action, and they act in front of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Probably not that drunk either.
Oh, yeah, I would doubt that he'd be inebriated at his brother's high school Well, it's Chad Kelly, never mind.
Yeah.
Alright, so we all agree 4, Khalifa Gate.
Khalifa Gate is 4.
Chopper Gate, I think, is number 1.
I think Chopper Gate's 1.
I'm going to be outvoted here, but I like Vacuum Gate.
Okay.
And then we can put Vacuum Gate at 2? Because Vacuum Gate, the story is just hilarious. The Bleacher Gate is almost sad. Like,
That's definitely the most embarrassing one. It's not that embarrassing for me to shut you down. I mean, you're not Jimmy G. You're not going to get that to work.
No. He doesn't have the Jimmy G in him. What do you guys think? Chopper Gate or Vacuum Gate or Bleacher Gate? Which one's it 2?
Vacuum Gate.
Vacuum Gate.
I agree. So, guys, quick recap. Chad Kelly scandals. Number 1, is Choppergate. Number 2, Vacuumgate. Number 3, Bleachergate. And number 4, Khalifa-gate. Think about that. I think he's like 25 or 26.
What's
and he's
next?
Yes, what is next? Chad, show us. He's going to be in the CFL. He's going to be doing something ridiculous. I am all in. I hope he's teammates with Johnny Manziel.
He's not a felon yet, I don't think, so he could do the XFL.
Dude, Chad Kelly would be the best XFL quarterback ever. Like, he would just fit the mold for what I would expect out of the XFL.
No, he'll be there.
Yeah, it's just a matter of
Wait,
time.
you have any felonies for any of these gates? You can't have those.
I don't think he's a felon. I'm assuming, though. I don't know.
I would imagine that he wouldn't have been a felon. Like, well, he was playing for Hugh Freeze, so yeah.
There's
That might be a
no
prerequisite.
Yeah, it was prereq, felon. Just everything in Chad Kelly's, like, everything just makes sense now. Oh man! All right, we'll get back to the football games. Leighton, your Super Bowl pick: Texans, winners of 5 straight. You actually said on the show you are one more loss, and that you're coming off the take. Are you buying back in as a contender?
I just want to say that it'll come off the take, not due to lack of talent, but because maybe too big of a hole to climb out of. But this has probably been the ugliest fucking win streak I've ever seen, like in recent memory.
Oh
like,
yeah.
None of the games look pretty. They've had like 2 or 3 good wins last Thursday, but Washington threw 19 passes and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But that's not gonna happen ever again.
No. Well, it will. Like last season, that happened every game.
You know what? You're right, and that's not going on for last season.
He's a
I would need that to
shining star.
happen every game of the season.
And Lamar Miller ran for like $133.
He has 100 yards and a touchdown in back-to-back games. He didn't have either one of those all year before these 2 weeks.
That is insane.
They figured it out.
I agree. I think this is the ugliest 5-game winning streak.
It is.
I watch them and I'm like, man, they're so talented. And then like the Bill O'Brien factor starts to creep in, and rear its ugly head. And he's like, I'm gonna pull you guys back a little bit. You're getting too good. And then next thing you know, they're like last second drive and they win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Contender Diesel.
To win their division, yes, but nothing past it.
Yeah, I think you have to have a decent coach to win in the postseason. Like, they don't even have to be great. They just have to be decent, and I don't think Bill O'Brien fits that mold. So, Ryan Fitzpatrick, this is, guys, the story came all the way back around. This is the best thing I think I watched in football this weekend. Ryan Fitzpatrick came in for relief of Jameis Winston and was a last-second field goal from Randy Bullock away from erasing an 18-point fourth-quarter deficit and sending the game to OT. Guys, what are your thoughts on the quarterback situation in Tampa after this?
Well, today Dirk Kerr came out and said that they're going to start Ryan Fitzpatrick next week. And I don't really understand why. Because they aren't going with this season, especially in that division. So, one, they just want to lose more games than they win. And two, did last year James' the contract. Like, I want to see what I have with him for sure. Throw him out there, even if he's awful. Just let me make sure he is bad before I don't sign him again.
Yeah, in the division that they're in, so they play. They've got the Falcons, they've got the Saints, and the Panthers. Mm-hmm. There's no way the Bucks are making a playoff push.
No,
there's just no way.
No, it'll be tough. But you look at the 2 wins that Ryan Fitzpatrick had early on: the Eagles and the Saints. Like,
yeah.
And then he almost, like, you put him in at halftime, he wins that game against the Bengals. Like, he wins that game. And you're looking at those teams, 3 playoff teams. Those are 3 teams that right now you would probably put in the playoffs at the end of the season. Yeah. And then his only loss was to the Bears. And the Bears' defense was hot. Like,
he lost to the Steelers, too.
Fitzpatrick did?
Yeah, he threw.
Oh yeah, he did throw. That was the bad game.
Yeah,
and then he lost to the Bears. But like the Steelers, what are the Steelers? Probably a playoff team.
Yeah.
And then the Bears, borderline playoff team. But that was the hottest defense, like that he was going to face probably all season. Like everything was just leaning to the Bears' defense, like having a good game that game. I ran the numbers on Fitz and Jameis. Fitz has 4 less pass attempts, twice as many touchdowns, half the interceptions, 400 more yards. I just don't understand why would you keep rolling Jameis Winston out there.
For the team, like looking at the team and trying to win games, 100% is the right move to put him back out there. To put Fitz out there, I think. He's just a much better player. The team is much better. Deshaun Jackson wanted to be traded at the beginning of this week. I mean,
And he was having the time of his life after week 3.
Yeah, they were. He was having to, like, whenever reporters were asking him questions, he was having to just shut up because he couldn't say anything about it.
That's unbelievable to me.
He was visibly happier when Fitz was there, but I don't know.
Yeah.
This is way more fun to watch.
Oh, way more fun. Like, as soon as he came in, we're just like, oh, yeah, here we go.
Interesting thing here, like, because Winston and Mariota were always compared. They were always compared coming out of the draft. Neither one of them's really killed it, but the Titans are probably pretty interested in having Mariota come back. They're definitely considering keeping him around. I don't think Tampa Bay wants any part of Jameis Winston.
No, the only thing that Jameis Winston's done is throw interceptions and like cause your team a headache. Like, it's a total bummer because Jameis Winston's like kind of fell on his face. But like then again, you think like, is he really that good of a guy? Should he be like the head of a team? I think that you've seen enough. Jameis Winston played in one half of a game, started 3, and didn't finish the last one. In those 4 games, if he did what he's done this whole, for the remainder of the season, you just average it out, he's on pace for 40 interceptions in a 16-week season. 40 interceptions. That's
a lot of picks.
Second in NFL history. That is unbelievable. I think that they've seen enough. I do agree with the decision of going back to Fitz, and it's going to be so fun to watch.
Well, hell, I mean, he's probably going to light it up a little bit, but then he's due for that game where he throws 4 more picks, and then Jameis might come in at halftime. So I don't think this QB battle's over.
Dirk Cook need to put the flag in the sand and just make it with mine, I think, because I can see it going back and forth another time or two.
Yeah, right now, though, I think it's the right move.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it is the right move.
So, Jake, you think the right move going with Fitz over Jameis Winston?
Yes, I do.
How you totally giving up on Jameis?
Yeah, I'm 100% done with Jameis Winston. You
think Fitzpatrick can play another 3 or 4 years?
I hope. I love watching it.
Well, that's a pretty odd thought. Got more odd thoughts for us?
As a matter of fact, I do.
It was all a dream. I used to read Run Up magazine.
As the great Fletch Hoig would say, there are 3 guarantees in life. Death, taxes, and Adam Thielen going for 100 yards. Jameis Winston in 3 quarters of football and Jimmy Butler. What do they have in common? They're both worth 4 picks. Cleveland Browns, most memeable team in NFL, does it again by hiring Freddie Kitchens as offensive coordinator. Freddie Kitchens' nickname is actually the Chef, so we're going to have some fun with this one. Freddie Kitchens, Baker Mayfield. The Browns have a better chance to be a national powerhouse culinary school than win 4 games this season. How do you get Bob Wiley excited for work every day? Tell him the Chef and Baker will be there every day for practice. Bob Wiley, most disappointed man in football. Kitchens, Baker, 2020. How is the only way you stop Aaron Rodgers from a 4th quarter comeback? Kick the ball to Ty Montgomery. Sean McVay, special teams wizard. Chad Kelly versus Mad Dad with a vacuum cleaner. Dana White, book it. Ty Lue finally becomes the head coach of an NBA team. And in his first 6 games, he was fired. List of things more stable than head coaching jobs in the city of Cleveland. The Buffalo Bills quarterback room, John Gruden's depth chart, and the Giants offensive line. David Price, big game pitcher. Steve Pierce, greatest Red Sox to ever pick up the stick. And there's a movie out this weekend. It's titled Saban's Last Stand, and it was written by Ed Orgeron and filmed in Death Valley. And those have been my thoughts.
I want to go back to the Chad Kelly vacuum game real quick, because I just realized something. We've all, thought about what we do to book into our house. Well, this guy thought, I'm going to go grab the plastic piece of the vacuum cleaner.
No, I think it was metal. I would imagine that if it's like next to Von Miller's house, like it's pretty nice. Like you and I were used to plastic vacuum cleaner parts. This dude probably had some real intricate shit.
He probably does.
It's a Marvel vacuum. Yeah,
he does.
He's just swinging at Chad Kelly. Like, dude, I know everybody in the world, everybody sitting here, everybody listening to this, has ran it through their head. What will I do if somebody ever breaks in my house?
This guy thought we were going to grab the vacuum parts.
This guy. How awesome!
This goes to show, in the moment, you'll probably do what you weren't thinking about before.
This is like for everybody that thinks like, I'm gonna go get my concealed carry just in case, just in case some shit hits the fan. And guys, animal instincts,
This guy said I'm gonna buy a $500 vacuum cleaner with a metal handle. It's on, Chad.
And I'm gonna know how to use it.
That salesman, whenever he was at the store, he was selling that like, when somebody breaks in, there's an intruder.
You know what the best part of this is?
Take this thing apart.
This had to have been like in Denver, and the guy didn't even know who Chad Kelly was. This just goes to show you that you cannot recognize NFL football players. Like the backup quarterback who everybody's been hoping gets in. Like, here he is sitting on your couch. What do? You fight him.
They probably had a talk to the water cooler next day at work too. Oh hey, yeah, be sure to check it last time a vacuum cleaner.
Dude, what would you do if you were just like chilling at the water cooler at work, everybody's sitting there talking, and like, Jeff from accounting comes up and he's like, "Hey, you guys won't believe what happened last night. Chad Kelly walked into my house and I had to fight him." Like, all those guys are Broncos fans, and they're like, why'd you do that,
Oh, man.
Kudos to Chad, though. I'm glad he's flaming out of the league rather than just like smoking pot a couple times or something.
I know, because he was going to fizzle out at some point. Like,
I enjoyed the stories.
Yeah, go out with a bang. I love that. So, guys, little NFL word association week 8 recap. Biggest winner.
Jason can't get fired on a bye week.
The Texans. I don't know how they did it, but 5 wins in a row.
Browns. They fired Hugh Jackson. Biggest loser.
People who bet the over in the Van Packer game.
That was me.
That's a good one. Jags. Just everything around that.
Browns. They fired Todd Haley. Surprise.
Adrian Peterson, 100 rushing yards, 100 receiving yards.
Fitzmagic.
It took a 3-6-1 record to get fired as the Browns head coach. Disappointment.
Not getting to see Aaron Rodgers straight down the field on that last 2-minute drive.
Seeing that the Cardinals and 49ers were one of the afternoon games.
Derek Carr had a 75% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, and still lost by 14. Impact injury.
Kyle Long.
I'm going to second that one. Kyle Long.
Yeah, I have Kyle Long and another big boy, Lane Johnson. Biggest WTF moment of Week 8.
The Seattle Seahawks punter taking it upon himself to run for the first down.
Todd Haley firing. Didn't see that coming.
It took a last-second field goal by the Bengals to win a game that they had 4 interceptions and 6 sacks while giving up no turnovers and 2 sacks. Overreaction.
Byron Leftwich fixed Josh Rosen.
The Redskins are good.
Mike McCarthy, hot seat. All right, guys. That play by the punter, dude, was absolutely insane.
Like that's the play you do, and you lose that game. You don't have a job the next day.
No, no.
Pete Carroll was hyped on the side. He was yelling it like he was pumped up. He was excited about it.
He ran out of his own end zone.
Like, did you think he told anybody that?
The plan was to take a safety. It seemed.
He went ahead and got the first one.
Well, I know, but he obviously audibled a little bit, but.
I loved that, dude.
Yeah,
that was the best play of the weekend, I think.
Yeah, I know whether more that story of Jack Hill get beat by a vacuum.
I think we're going to talk about that one for a while. So, guys, we'll go ahead and transition to some college football talk. College football playoff rankings going to be released in about 24 hours from right now when we're talking. So if you listen to us, or if you listen to us after Tuesday, don't come back and say we're idiots. This is on Monday. If we were in the committee, who are your top 6 teams?
The top 2 for me are really easy. One's Bama, the other 2's Clemson. Clemson don't look that great, but they're going to be undefeated. They're undefeated right now anyway, and they had also a bound they can be really good. At 3, I have LSU. They've dominated the best division in football other than Alabama. At 4, I have Notre Dame. At 5, I have Michigan. And at 6, I luckily put in Georgia just out of respect for Kobe Smart.
Yeah, I went with Bama. Honestly, I did the first 6 teams. It seems like
that's what I did too.
Seems like a cop out a little bit, but I couldn't build the first 5. I thought were obvious, and then when it got to Georgia, I couldn't convince myself that anybody outside of that, like in that area, was any better than them.
Yeah, I just feel like the college football playoff committee has to look at this a little different. It seems like they're always like, yeah, this will work its way out, but get it right from jump. You know, like, if you have to tweak things later because teams get better wins, like, this is a week-by-week individual assessment. Don't look ahead. Don't say, hey, we'll figure this out later. I have Bama, obviously, number one, first in points per game, 10th in points given up. Like, their schedule hasn't been that good. They've had one win against a top 25 team. They were borderline at the time, but, you know, Texas A&M is a good football team. 2, I have Clemson. Really impressive this year. When Trevor Lawrence has been healthy and not splitting snaps, when he's played the whole game, they're outscoring teams 163-20. That's NC State, Florida State, and Wake Forest. Like, no slouches there, other than Willie Taggart's coaching one of them. Number 3, I had a hard time either going LSU or Notre Dame. I gave Notre Dame the edge just because, you know, they haven't lost. You know, you have to respect a team that hasn't lost. It doesn't matter who they play. LSU obviously has the better resume. Notre Dame, you have to throw them up there. They have one of the best wins in the country, too. At 3, and then 4, LSU, obviously. Probably the best resume. I mean, you look at this team, they have significant wins all over the place. Teams that have spent the majority of the season in the top 25. They've already beat Auburn, Georgia, Mississippi State, and Miami. Like, that's a season, that's like 2 seasons worth of respectable wins, and they got them before the rankings even come out. And then at 5, I have Michigan. I think that's pretty understandable. One of the better losses that you can have at this point of the season. Only loss coming to Notre Dame. And then 6, I can't put Georgia at 6. I've said that the SEC is by far the hardest conference. But Georgia, I know that they have the better win out of the 2, but they got housed by LSU. I know LSU is very, very good, but outside of Florida, you've beaten Austin Peay, Middle Tennessee, Tennessee, Mizzou, Vandy, and South Carolina. Those SEC schools outside of Florida that you've beaten have a 5-15 record in the SEC. So you're beating up on the SEC bottom feeders right now. Like, the next 2 weeks, yes, Georgia could jump up in the pecking order with the win over Kentucky. And, you know, I think Auburn next. Like, if you win those next 2 games, I'll throw you up there. But right now, UCF has not lost yet. They beat a Pitt team who is actually only lost to Notre Dame by 5, and they led the whole entire game with the exception of the last 5 minutes. And they beat Pitt 45-15. Like, they absolutely destroyed Pitt. And Pitt's also beaten Syracuse. So, yes, Pitt's not the best team, but they absolutely house them, and they keep housing people. They've won every game by 20-plus points except Memphis. So I have them at 6. Do you guys see any way that the committee looks at that?
You see, if it was so started, I made a bet myself that you would have UCF at number 6, and I was right.
But I feel like you almost have to.
No, you're right.
Like, you can't give them out 2 years in a row if they run the
know.
table.
You know, like, whenever those borderline teams, those great teams like Ohio State, whenever they got in, whenever everybody was like scratching their head, how the hell did Ohio State get in? They won, mm-hmm. And then Alabama didn't even play in the conference championship game. Lost to the team that didn't even win the conference championship game. They get in, what do? They win. And they were one of those teams that you were kind of like, hey, they could be left out. And you look at UCF, and I feel like the reason why they did that for Ohio State and Bama is because they look back and they say, this team's had continued success and they can compete. With UCF, at the end of the day, you have to look back and say, this team's won 20-something games in a row. Like, they are on fire. They beat Auburn last year in the Peach Bowl. You have to give them that. You can't do it 2 years in a row.
You look at last year, and maybe they don't let them in because they feel like it's a fluke. You know, they were like completely winless a couple years ago, but now they've run the table. If they run the table 2 years in a row
and don't get in, that'll be ridiculous.
It's flawed.
I think that you have.
It's either go to 8 teams or put the team in that's 21-0 or whatever it would be at that point.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, I agree. I've already said on here why they won't get in because basically all the team one loss already ahead of them, and if those teams lose, they lose to the other good team in the conference, they'll jump them, blah, 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 blah. But you guys are right. Like, if they go undefeated back-to-back years, you have to put them in. I still don't think they're going to, though. I don't think there's any way they're going to put UCF in that college football playoff.
It's going to be really telling to see where they're at on this college football playoff ranking instead of AP poll or whatever.
No, I agree. This will be, because this is obviously the gold standard. I think they need to set a precedent for UCF. Like, we'll put you at 6. If you run the table, you will get in. Like, there's no and ifs, ors about it. Like, the last 3 games of their season are lining up to be Cincinnati, who a week ago they were ranked, UCF, which a week ago they were ranked, and then at the end of the season they will have Houston, who Houston is ranked now because they beat UCF. Like, I don't like if they have 3
USF.
yes, USF. If they have 3 quality wins at the end of the season like that, I will be so disappointed if they get left out, if they run the table. I mean, because that's as good as you can do out of that conference. That's as good as you can do. So, guys, we have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 top 15 matchups this week. Like, this is the ultimate treat. You knew you were getting Bama LSU right off the top, but we have 3 other meaningful games. All could potentially sneak into the playoffs at this point, and all 4 games are conference matchups. So we'll go ahead and start off in the Big 12. West Virginia, ranked 12th, going to Texas, playing number 15 Texas. Texas opened at a 2.5-point favorite. Guys, who's going to win this game?
I'm going to go with West Virginia. I haven't liked Texas that much all season, and the guys showed why last week. Sorry, Lex, but you're going to go down 2-0.
I think so too. I think West Virginia. I really do. For a lot of the reasons Leighton said, I haven't been that impressed with Texas. And I think West Virginia is going to do a lot of the same things that happened to Texas last week.
Yeah, I agree. If you are an NFL team in need of a receiver, watch this game. You have 4 quality NFL receivers on this field. 2 will be out there at any given moment. But do I trust Sam Ehlinger or do I trust Will Grier to get the ball into those guys' hands and make something happen? I trust Will Grier a whole hell of a lot more. I'm going with West Virginia. Go into the SEC. Guys, week 1 of the college football season, we thought this would be a meaningless game. Number 6, Georgia, goes to take on Kentucky, who's ranked 11th. Might be the most surprising team in the nation. This will be, I think, Kentucky's 5th SEC game as an underdog, and they've won 4 of those. Can they do it again?
I don't think so. I'm going to go with Georgia. I do think that they're just a more talented team. The Kentucky team, though, is really good. I think they'll cover the 10-point spread. Close game, but I have Georgia edging them out late.
Yeah, I've been ready to pull the plug on Kentucky for a couple of weeks. I think they won one of them, lost one of them, but I think Georgia's definitely going to beat them this week.
Yeah, I think Georgia beats them.
I think they were fortunate to win last week.
Yeah, they were very, very fortunate. They snuck out of there. It was a game they should have lost. They were down by 11, I believe, with like 5 minutes left. Punt return for a touchdown, and then score the game-winning points with absolutely no time left on the clock. Took a free play to win. That's not going to happen again. I think Georgia's going to... I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia puts this to sleep by halftime.
Sticking on Georgia, Elijah Holyfield is a tank.
Dude, he is a... Well, look at his genetics, man.
I know. He's going to be an NFL running back. He has to be.
Oh, yeah. I think that he is going to be the best NFL running back probably since Todd Gurley. Like, I think he's better than Sony Michel and... oh, man, he's slipping my head. The last one. Sony Michel.
Nick Chubb.
I think he's better than both those guys as far as an NFL running back. Like, he can run north and south like he's a beast.
Mm-hmm.
Big Ten. Number 5, Michigan. It will actually be at the Big House at Michigan, taking on Penn State, number 14th ranked team in the country. Penn State actually opened as a 10.5-point dog. Guys, who do we like?
I'm going to go with Michigan. Jim Harbaugh had this team actually rolling since almost being fired after week 1.
Yeah, I think it's time. For Harbaugh to come to Michigan, it's time that he makes the playoff. It's time that they win these games and they try to win a national championship. And this is part of the process. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think Michigan's going to kind of put it to them. Michigan's just been an engine, dude. That defense is legit. The bad thing is that the majority of those guys are sophomores. Like, that was Harbaugh's big recruiting class. I think Michigan's going to win this one pretty easy. So this is the game we've been waiting on since week 1. It is here. We'll probably get a little more in depth with it. Alabama, number 1 team in the country for obvious reasons, taking on LSU, the number 4 team in the country. LSU is a 13-point underdog. The game will be in Death Valley, and Ed Orgeron is not going to sleep this whole entire week. Who's going to win this game?
I'm honestly cheering for Ed Orgeron. I just want to see him go absolutely insane on the sideline after they win.
I'm cheering so
during
hard
the game.
for LSU on this.
But it can't be against Alabama. You just can't do it. It might be the best football team ever, and you can't be against them right now.
Every time we say that about Alabama, though, they drop one.
I know.
Every
I'm
time.
kind of worried about it.
Every
I'm
time.
worried about it. But I'm going with Alabama. 13 points where the spread is right now. It's a lot of points to give up, though.
Yeah, this one's tough. Well, it's not really that tough. I think Alabama's going to win, but what does make it kind of difficult is looking at LSU's resume and how many ranked teams they have beaten. But then also on that same note, it's probably not likely that they're going to do it again. I don't know. It's tough, but I think it's not going to be one of those 6-3 LSU Alabama games like we used to see.
No, this is going to be the oddest LSU Alabama game we've ever seen.
I'm curious to see how it goes, but just being such a big favorite, it's hard to see Alabama losing. I'd like to see LSU win, I think, but
I'm going to go. I'm picking LSU because I refuse to come off takes. I said they would win week 1. I said that they would drop a game early, and then this game would basically put it in stone that LSU is a top 4 playoff team. I think that if LSU wins this game, they should be ranked number 1 in the country. I think that they should leapfrog everybody and be number 1. I absolutely love battle-tested teams, and this team is that. You look at this Alabama team, Tua hasn't taken a snap in the fourth quarter. I know that they practice. You know, they practice. They're obviously in great shape. But you have to play 4 quarters in a game to know what that feels like. Tua has never played a full college football game. Last year, he came in relief to Jalen Hurts. We have not seen him for 4 quarters. He's coming in with 0 interceptions. Joe Burrow has not thrown a touchdown pass in the last 3 weeks. Something has to give. Something has to give at this point. I think that Ed Orgeron's the ultimate hype man. I'm not going to give him like an edge coaching wise. I obviously Nick Saban is heads and shoulders above Ed Orgeron as far as X's and O's. But at the end of the day, these are kids. Like, these are young men. We'll say that. I hate using the term kids, but 19 to 22-year-old guys. A hype man's important to them.
Yeah.
And Ed Orgeron's going to have these dudes ready to play. Opening drive, LSU. I want to say something spectacular is going to happen in favor of LSU, and LSU is going to make Tua play 4 quarters, something that he has never done in his life, where LSU has been in bloodbaths from the opening snap this season. I'm going with LSU. I love battle-tested teams, especially getting a week off. You could say, oh, they got to be tired at this point in the season. Both teams had a week off. Both should be fresh. I've said it time and time again. College teams come out cold after a bye week. Not when you have the ultimate hype man in your corner.
It's funny they mentioned the touchdown thing. I had a touchdown the last 3 weeks. Today, Alabama learned 2 things about them and why this team is flawed. Over the past 10 seasons, since 2008 to now, they're 133-14. Actually insane. This season, they allowed 16 points per game. That might seem amazing, but it's the second worst they've had in that 10-year span. So this team is vulnerable right now, ready to lose.
do you think that what's their points per game?
Because they score so fast.
I don't know the points per game, but again, all the article had in it was how many points they allowed this season. How is the second most they've gave up under Saban. So they're vulnerable right now. This is the defense second worst he's ever had.
And I really think that I still think Nick Saban's learning a lot right now at this point in the season. I think he's learning a lot because he's doing something he's never done. And that's coach a really, really good offense, like where they don't turn around and hand the ball off. So I'm really excited to see how the play calling goes towards down the stretch. Because if they take their foot off the gas like they have, like I know up until like 2 weeks ago, Alabama was getting outscored in fourth quarters this season. Think about that.
Yeah. Another thing, they had, I think, 13 guys drafted last season. Right now, they're like 16 guys on NFL rosters. These are all really young kids. Will they wear down over the span of 3 quarters if they have to actually play 3-4 quarters of football and not just say, we'll take this drive off. We're up by 40.
Yeah, and whenever I say Tua's hasn't played a fourth quarter, guys, he's not on the field. He gets on the field, he throws a deep ball to a wide open receiver, and it's gone. LSU's secondary is not the same secondary as Texas A&M or any of these other teams that they've blown out. Texas A&M is very good, but they're in rebuild mode, and I think that there comes a time in every single Alabama team. Alabama can go on and win the national championship, but every single year, whenever we get on this big hype train, this is the best team I've ever seen college football. I said it 2 years ago about Alabama. They lose a game. They drop a game. And I think that Ed Orgeron, off of a bye week, ultimate college hype man, the bubble has to burst with Tua. The bubble has to burst with Joe Burrow being so bad. And this is the week. This is the week. I'm excited. I cannot be more excited.
What time is that game?
I believe it's
6.
Is
6 or 7.
Is it 6?
Oh,
or
a night game and
Yeah.
Death Valley. That'd be a pretty good game.
Yeah, dude.
The whole atmosphere will be pretty
I don't
crazy.
know what I know it's a night game, but I don't know what the record is. But like ranked games in Death Valley, like it is ridiculous how successful they are. And I mean, we've had a lot of guys on here that played SEC football, and they said that Death Valley is by far the hardest place they've ever played. So it'll be interesting. I am so excited for this game. Now just watch Ed Orgeron get beat by 50 points. I just want to see him get carried off by his team. That's all I want. So guys, let's go ahead and play a little darts. Pew, 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 pew. We're playing darts, baby. This is kind of our time in the show where we kind of sit back and have some fun. Leighton, what are we playing this week?
In honor of Halloween, we're bringing back Eat or Delete candy.
All right.
Play it once a year.
I hope candy corn is on this list. That
It is.
Usually makes a good conversation because you're either on one side or the other on the coin. So guys, in case you're not familiar with how this works, each one of us will go around the table. Each one will throw a dart. The dart will hit the dartboard. Each number on the dartboard represents a number. That number represents something. This week it will be candy, and we will discuss whether or not we should eat or delete these delicious candies. Leighton C., producer, your throw. And we have a 3.
A 3 is Snickers. Snickers. This is a good freaking candy bar right here.
This is the pinnacle of candy bars.
This is the best candy bar there is. Like,
This is my favorite candy
if
bar.
I'm at the store and I feel like chocolate, I'm picking that at nougat. It got caramel. It got nuts. I love nuts. All about Snickers.
That'll make a good soundbite, actually. So I'm all in on Snickers. Snickers is kind of like the pinnacle of candy bars, and they have the hilarious commercials. Yeah, Snickers is. It has everything you want.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah,
what
no,
more do you want in a
there's
candy
no
bar?
question for me on this
Yeah.
one. It's eat.
It's a eat unanimous.
Yep.
Yeah, it has everything you absolutely need. Snickers best candy bar there is.
Oh yeah.
It's been my favorite, pretty much.
Based on my entire, like,
Yeah.
I think that a big period of time, like Butterfinger more.
Reese's is a close second. I think.
Yeah, not Three Musketeers. Zero bars. You guys ever eat one of those?
Yeah, coconut.
No.
Those
they're
are mounds.
It's
I'm
basically
not
like a Snickers with like white chocolate and something else in it. Like it's totally a spinoff of Snickers, in my opinion. But it is so good. That is my favorite. But like as far as the most recognizable candy bar, like the GOAT, has to be Snickers.
Snickers. Yeah.
That was pretty easy. Diesel, your throw. And we have an 11.
11 is Airheads.
Ooh. Would you eat or delete Airheads, Diesel?
Airheads. I had a lot. I feel like I haven't had an Airhead in a long time, but
I can't remember how I had an Airhead.
I remember liking Airheads a lot when I was younger. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna get a whole box of Airheads and eat them, but I do. I would eat Airheads.
Yeah.
I'd eat a couple.
Airheads pissed me off.
I never liked Airheads because like they look delicious, but you taste it. They look like a matty taste.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to
Wax?
describe it.
I really think that it's wax, but it's flavored and it's really good.
See, I can't see. After like
I
2
like
bites,
it's
I
tough.
don't want any more Airhead.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest here. Was anybody really disappointed of Airheads whenever you're little? I watched those commercials.
Those
Where
was
you
funny
eat the
commercials.
Airhead. No, I legitimately thought that my head was gonna like and turn into like that balloon.
I've
Never
learned
did.
more about you during these eat or delete segments
why
than I
your head's
have in 8 years of friendship.
That's why my head's so big.
Yeah, in the decade I've known Drake, I've learned more about him during these eat or delete segments than I have hanging out.
I was like 8 years. I was probably a little younger than that. I was like probably 7, 6, maybe the first time I ever had an Airhead. And I watched all these commercials, and I remember I was just like, I gotta have this thing. This thing looks awesome. I ate it, and my head never changed. Like, that might be the reason why my head's so big today. But it didn't happen. I would definitely eat this. I really like Airheads. They're really good. I couldn't remember the last time that I actually picked up a pack of Airheads and thought I'm gonna buy them. But I'll eat them anytime that they're around. But as far as disappointments, this has to be number one. This has to be the biggest disappointment I've ever had with candy.
They thought you were going to blast off.
I did.
You're not?
I couldn't imagine if I'd had a Red Bull and they had their commercials out whenever I was like 8, dude. I would have been
I don't
mad.
think 8-year-old you need a Red Bull.
They don't have to move it to the pool.
That would have been bad. Yeah, I mean, I understand why kids do stupid stuff because I remember a time in my life where I thought my head would turn into an Airhead.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Eat or delete, Layton?
Delete. I don't like Airheads.
I'd eat it.
I'm eating it.
Alright, so we are eating Airheads 2-1.
And now, Drake's throw. And we have a 12. No, it's a 15, actually. 15.
It's okay. Reading's hard. Pop Rocks.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You really eat Pop
Oh, absolutely. Dude,
Drake's face whenever the Pop Rocks looked like he just saw a mountain of gold and it was his. Like, oh, Pop Rocks.
Dude, Pop Rocks were awesome. How much fun did you have with Pop Rocks? Like, aside of it being like just a candy, like, how much fun did you have with Pop Rocks growing up?
I had little to no fun with
Yeah,
Pop Rocks growing up.
serious?
I'm a diesel. Like, it's like Airheads. Like,
I'm
I
kind
mean,
of
I'll eat them just to, like, have the fulfill in my mouth, but that's like a bite. You're like, they think kind of suck.
I was never big on Pop Rocks.
Yeah.
I like
I
they
never
just,
got to- never got
pop
to
in your
hype.
mouth and it was so cool.
Yeah, no. For a long time, I was scared. My sister told me if I had those in Coke, my tummy would explode.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, I didn't like those.
I'd imagine a lot of people experiment with it. I didn't. I wasn't going to touch it. I mean, I was susceptible to believing that my head would turn into an Airhead.
You're all about that happening, but you don't like the idea of this.
Yeah, I did. Dude, Pop Rocks were so fun. Like, as far as like,
What did you do with Pop Rock that was so fun?
You just pour them in your mouth, and then you can either shut it and you hear them popping inside your head, or you could open them up and actually hear it audibly through your ears.
No, I don't Pop Rock. I had Pop Rocks actually.
You ever watch them?
Yeah, no, last weekend or 2 weeks ago at Fright
pour like
Fest.
water in my mouth and watch them.
2 weekends ago at Fright Fest, I had Pop Rocks actually for the first time in I don't know a decade probably,
Lucky dog.
and they're just as bad. I remember them being when I was 15.
What do you think? Eat or delete Pop Rocks?
I'm deleting Pop Rocks.
Well,
This is-
Pop Rocks is out, man.
No,
I was just never a fan. I don't know why.
Out.
Today we played darts under protest. Leighton, give us a rundown.
Okay, well, we started off really hot with Snickers, a unanimous seat. We also did the best candy bar there is. Then I got outvoted 2-1 on Airheads, aka flavored wax. And then we deleted Pop Rocks, but Jake's protesting the Pop Rock, so we have to do a new count or something. I don't know how that works.
Alright,
Do you know candy I really loved that I thought
What
of
was
for no reason? Fun Dip.
Fun Dip was awesome.
Fun Dip was the best.
Just because
I
it turned
put
your
it-
tongue different
I put
colors.
it. I like the little stick that you dipped in there more than I like the Fun Dip.
Yes, the stick was the best
Yeah.
part. It was almost like a dessert to your candy.
Yeah.
Like after you got done like
It's
working.
like a
to get all
waffle
that-
cone. When you get to the end, you're like, that waffle cone's almost better than the ice cream.
Yes.
Yep.
It's so smart. Such a smart idea to put that little sugary thing in there. I loved those, dude. Fun Dip was awesome.
That little diabetes.
Yes, it was
It
diabetes
is
in a
that, what it
pouch.
is.
Yeah.
Those are silly straws.
Who thought of those candies though? I mean, who thought like
Pixie
we're-
sticks? Like, let's have a giant tube full of sugar.
Yeah,
Give the
like,
kids.
this is the best idea ever. Like, that's an unbelievable thing about like, hey, what came first, the Pixie stick or the Fun Dip?
Probably a pixie stick.
I don't know. That's tough.
Pixie
It's
stick's
the
probably
same
easy
thing.
to create.
I would say the Pixie stick came first. And
It was
it's-
made by brothers. 2 brothers made it, and then one of them was like, "Hell, I'm just put a stick in there."
It's like left Twix and right Twix, like they're right across the street from each other. Like they're sitting there, they're like, "Man, this is really, really good." You know, eating those Pixie sticks, and they think, "Imagine if we had just a stick full of sugar to dip the sugar in the pouch out."
Or maybe the Fun Dip was first, and then one guy was like, "Hell, I don't want to stick this thing in there." He's like, I just want to drink it, basically.
That's a new chicken and the egg argument.
What came first, pixie stick or Fun Dip? Well, you definitely Google can figure it out.
I
but-
think that one might have a date on it, but I don't know.
Leighton, that is your job. Guys, we have a very, very good interview. In case you guys aren't familiar with Krysten Peak, she writes for Rivals.com. She's probably the smartest person you've ever listened to talk basketball. She sits down with Fletcher. I hope you guys enjoy.
All right, so we have Krysten Peak on the show. It's good to have you back. It's been a hot minute since you've been on. Tell us a little about you, who you are, what you do now, and how you got interested in basketball.
I work for Rivals.com and Yahoo Sports. I'm a basketball contributor there, mainly focusing on the recruiting side of things. But since I've been doing it now for so long, I kind of seen the lifespan from high school to college to now the NBA with a little of the first years that are playing there. So it's been really good. I love supporting these guys. I obviously love basketball. I've been playing it my whole life. Grew up in Colorado, a small town outside Colorado Springs, and then played Division II basketball outside New York City. So, yeah, that's kind of the deal.
Okay. And so, like your Instagram, Snapchat, well, not Snapchat, I guess. Maybe that's like the younger version of me coming out. Like Twitter, where can everybody find you at?
On Twitter, it's KP_Rivals. Everyone calls me KP. It's like these players, they can't remember the name Krysten, but they remember KP. So I'm now just KP to everyone. And then on Instagram, I'm just Krysten Peak.
Okay.
So
No MySpace anymore?
No MySpace. I'm sure Tom is still my friend, though.
Yeah, okay. So you said you played college basketball. Like we were talking before we started out on the air here, I do have some involvement with women's college basketball. My last year at SIU when I was a senior, somebody asked me if I wanted to be a practice player on the basketball team. And so that was a lot of fun. I was like the best shape I was ever in, and then on top of that I got a bunch of free gear too. So that was a cool experience.
We had practice players that were guys as well. It's good. Yeah.
I didn't know about that until I started doing it. I'm like, you can do that? Like, I thought that was cheating or something.
Yeah.
So before we get started, I just want to ask you about this, like with comparing the men's and the women's game. So like, it's no secret, like, guys are just typically taller, stronger, all that stuff. But in my opinion, after spending all that time watching those girls play and then even playing against them, like, I think girls are more skilled. I think a guy would just turn around and jump as high as he can, try to dunk it or lay it in, whatever the case may be, where a girl has to, really focus on her footwork and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on it? I see you making a face there.
Okay, this is probably because I've been covering really, really, really good basketball for a long time now, but I will watch the women's NCAA Final Four. I will watch maybe one game of the WNBA Finals.
Okay.
I can't stand how slow it is, and but you're right. It is super, super fundamentally sound, and I will give you that. Yeah, but
that's a good way of putting it. I like
it's definitely not as entertaining. I would rather watch a high school. I would rather watch Oak Hill play anyone. I would rather watch Oak Hill play Lulu than any WNBA. Like, it could be the All-Star game and everybody's trying hard, and I wouldn't want to watch it.
I disagree with you. Like, I like watching. I would rather go watch Shaman out here in St. Louis than maybe a WNBA game. But just speaking on like the skill, the fundamentals, I think. Yeah, I agree with what you said. So I know it's early, but like. I watched the Lakers, and I knew rebounding as a team was going to be difficult. They only had one true center, and they're not even addressing Mo Wagner. I wasn't worried about the scoring. I thought they had enough shooting. I thought they were going to play with enough pace, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. But their defense has been awful. So what do you make of the Lakers early?
I mean, they're horrible. Yeah. LeBron, I don't know how he could have saw this and said to himself, this is my best situation. And I know a lot of it, I will tell you this, a lot of it has to do with Bronny being at a good high school, playing with Shaq's son, Shakir. So it was a family decision, and his wife, like, they have a house out here for the off season. So it's obviously like a good place to raise your family. And I think that's kind of where he is in life. And maybe he thought, oh, I can come in and turn this entire team around that's full of young players, and you're right, no true centers, no true big men. And right now, I mean, he said in the press conference after the loss to the Spurs, he's like, I'm not worried. it's still early. Like, I'm up for the challenge. So he doesn't seem fazed by it. But today I saw an article about Luke Walton being at odds, the number one coach to get fired. during
Walton. He's a good coach, but it's just he's got a lot of knuckleheads on his team, and it's a tough situation right now. So.
Yeah. Is he a good coach?
I thought he was a good coach, but
I thought he was a good assistant at Golden State. I'm not sold on him as a head coach yet.
I tell you what, I always tell people, like, you know, he grew up with basketball so often. Like, his dad was writing stuff that John Wooden would tell him on his lunch boxes, and then he went and played for Lute Olson at Arizona, and then even Phil Jackson, and they got to be on the Warriors bench. Like, he's been around basketball so long. Like, I just feel like he has to know basketball, right? Like, he has to be an okay coach, but I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, but there's a difference from being around basketball for your whole life and then understanding X's and O's, understanding player breakdown, understanding how do you get the right personalities to gel and come together. Like,
I think the biggest thing there was the personalities. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
oh, no. I was just going to say, like, in the Spurs, you know, you've got one of the greatest coaches of all time in Pop, and, like, it's like he can take anyone and make it work, you know? So
I definitely hear you. Let's move on to the Warriors here. It's a team everybody loves to hate. What do you make of them early this year? I know, again, we're like 3 or 4 games in, but what do you make of them early, and more importantly, how are they going to look with Boogie when they bring him back, do you think?
So Steph's already broken his first NBA record. He's had 22 threes in, I think, 3 or 4 games. So that is a record that's already been broken.
Yeah.
I don't hate the Warriors. I understand why people do.
Yeah.
I don't, for some reason. I love Jordan Bell on that team. I think he's, like, it's a perfect place. Like, think if you're Jordan Bell and you get drafted, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to the best team in the league.
Right.
And then his rookie season, it just so happens, like, injuries, like Kevin Durant's out, you know, and then he's able to shine and get that confidence. And then they bring, like, Quinn Cook up, you know, when Steph was out last year. And I'm like, I love this team. I love him. I have nothing bad. And I can't wait for Boogie to play. I think he's going to be like Draymond 2.0 and as in, like, better. So.
Okay. I don't hate the Warriors either. I know a lot of people who do. I'm just not on that bandwagon of hating them, I guess. And then at the same time, you know, with the whole Boogie situation, like, he was out there and no team wanted him. So, like,
no.
If you're going to have to take the mid-level exception, like, why not go to the best team, you know?
Exactly. Why not get a ring?
Yeah. I completely agree with you on that.
Hang on, I just have to say, did you see the video of the fan yelling at Boogie?
Yeah.
You ruined basketball! And his face is
like,
just like,
yeah.
what?
That guy was, like, cussing and, like, going crazy. And the dude next to him was like, hey, man, there are kids here. And he just looks at him like, he ruined the NBA. Like, it was justified to, like, say that stuff in front of those kids.
Right.
That was so funny.
Right. And Boogie's face is just amazing. I love that so much.
Yeah, that was funny. Let's move on here to the Boston Celtics. How much do you like this healthy Celtics group right now?
Love, love, love. I love the Celtics. And I'll say this. I talked to Jason last year when everybody was hurt. And just as, like, a cheeky question, I asked him, I said, hey, how's it feel to carry the entire team on your back as a rookie since everyone's hurt? And he's just like, he gave me the runaround answer, like, oh, you know, it's tough work and we're all going to come together as a team. And, you know, but that's basically what he did. He did that the entire season last year. So I'm sure he's happy to have the support, you know, and I'm like with everybody else, like every time Hayward has the ball, you just hold your breath. You're like, oh, don't get hurt. But God, how good does Jason look?
He looks really
Holy
good.
cow.
Yeah.
He was out here. So he was I live in Los Angeles, and he was out here this summer working with Drew Hanlon.
Right.
And so I can't even remember what the group they called it, but it was him. It was Pure Sweat. Yes. So it was him, Markelle Fultz, Joel Embiid, Mo Bamba, Kelly Oubre, RJ Barrett, who's at Duke, projected #1 pick. He was out here working out with those guys. So, and then he had some one-on-one time with Kobe. And I don't know if you saw the first game, but he had that quick, like, hezzy pull-up. That was so Kobe. It was so Kobe. And it's just like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's just, he's like a sponge, and he's soaking up all the great things from the players that he's learning from.
Even the fadeaway that he hit against the Knicks, I mean, that was pure Kobe. The shake back and forth. And then
Oh, yeah. The dream. Okay. No, that was not Kobe. That was Hakeem.
That was the baby dream shake. That was not a full.
Okay. All right. Fine. Dream bait. But let's not call that Kobe. Let's
All
give credit where it's due. A little bit farther back.
Right. So you already hit on Jason Tatum for me, and so I know your opinion on that. I'll say one thing about the Celtics. Like, I'm so happy to see him start Kyrie, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Gordon Hayward all on the floor together. Because Brad Stevens, I don't know, for whatever reason, strikes me as one of those guys, like, who would start Aaron Baines, but then only play him for 10 minutes a game, like, and switch the lineup up. He did that with Amir Johnson a couple of years ago. Are you surprised to see that at all, or are you just like, yeah, I knew it would happen?
No, I think he had to do it that way because this is the lineup everybody wanted to see. So now everyone's healthy, so it's just kind of like, all right, here's what we got. We're going to lay all our cards on the table. East is ours. We're coming for you. You and the Toronto Raptors up there with your little shiny new toy. Like, we're coming for you,
Right. So, I don't know if you heard about this. There was a trade over the summer that involved Kawhi Leonard and DeMar DeRozan. Did you hear about
Oh, interesting. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Was that big news?
that? Yeah, I think you might have read it somewhere. Let's just start with the Spurs. What do you think of the new look Spurs?
I haven't had a chance to watch them as much. I mean, I saw them against the Lakers. But here's the thing, like with a great coach like Pop, I said it before, I'm not worried about them.
Right.
I still think they'll be in the thick of things come the tournament. Now it's college basketball. Come the playoffs. But I'm curious about the conversations that happened to make this trade happen. Like, who on Kawhi's team was like, oh, you know where we should go? Toronto. Like,
Yeah. Like, yeah, we'll agree. Send us there. Go ahead.
yeah. It's a little puzzling, but the way that Toronto has embraced him, and they had this whole like marketing video, just kind of, let's not talk about what's next. Look what we have here. Look what could happen. It's not enough to win our conference. Like, we want a championship and we have the goods. Like, let's try to make this happen. So Toronto's completely embraced him. I think he's starting to find his way there. Is he like 100% to what he used to be? I don't see it yet. Do you?
Okay. With DeRozan?
Quite.
Or...
No, with Leonard. Yeah,
Okay,
quite, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. I watched him play against the Boston Celtics, and he had like 36 and 10, so he looked pretty
Oh.
good. He looked pretty good there to me. But no, early in his first like game or two, whatever that was, I agree. Like, he didn't put up monster numbers. I mean, he had like 23 and like 7 or something, but I was like,
Right.
that's fine. I mean, a lot of guys can do that if they get the ball and the offense is run to them.
Yeah.
One thing I thought that was going to happen with the Spurs, especially when Dejounte Murray went down, is that in the half court that DeRozan was going to start initiating the offense more often. And I didn't watch the whole Lakers-Spurs game, but I did see that DeRozan had 14 assists. And so that makes me think that they're going to use him more initiating the offense in the half court just because he is not that reliable of a three-point shooter compared to maybe some of his teammates.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. 14 assists? Holy cow.
I know, right? I'm like, whoa, I had to check that again. I'm like, that can't be right. But, yeah, it's kind of and then with Kawhi, they had this new coach there, and you really see, like, Pop's a great coach, and he was going to get the most out of Kawhi no matter what, but
Yeah.
this coach is, like, really giving Kawhi Leonard a lot of freedom to create his own offense in the half-court game, and I like seeing that, too. That was one thing I definitely noticed when I watched them play the Celtics.
Yeah. I will always love DeMar DeRozan because he gave the world the gift of the greatest video of all time of like when Team USA was traveling down to Brazil for the Olympics.
Yeah.
And it was Jimmy Butler singing Vanessa Carlton, 1,000 Miles. And like, and Carmelo had like the worst look on his face. Like, Katie was wrapped up in this comforter looking like a giant marshmallow, and like Kyrie's singing along. They know all the words. Best video of all time. I love that.
I forgot
Look it up.
until you said it. That's kind of crazy. So we don't have a whole lot of time left. Let's just quickly run through college basketball here. We'll stick with the top 5 ranked teams coming into the season. We got Kansas, Kentucky, Gonzaga, Duke, and then Virginia. What do you feel about that top 5 ranking? Do you feel like Kansas is worthy of that number 1 spot, or do you think it's Duke? What are you thinking?
No, Kansas is definitely worthy of that. They have the guys coming back. They've got Udoka Azubuike, who's just a monster in the lane, coming back. And then on top of that, you got David McCormick coming as the freshman, who I think, like, his ceiling, he doesn't even know how high his ceiling is yet. Then you've got, a lottery pick in Quentin Grimes, who will play the 2, and Devon Dotson, depending on his season, like, he could potentially be a draft pick next year. So I think that team is super solid. And Kansas always, like, Bill Self always does a great job, with the new group of guys that he's coming in. I think Duke being number 4, a lot of people thought that they were the number 1 consensus team coming in, and them being number 4 is, I think, rallied on the fact that Zion Williamson's name, his eligibility is up in the air, and nobody knows what's going to happen if he's going to play this season or not. It would be the biggest shame for college basketball fans if Zion Williamson didn't play, but I mean, it is what it is. It's the FBI investigation trials going on right now, so we'll see if the NCAA comes down on that. Kentucky, super solid. Virginia is always good. Gonzaga, they made a really deep run in the tournament last year, and they have almost their entire team coming back. So I'm happy with the top 5. Okay. Tennessee is like the head scratcher. Where are they? They're like 6 or 7.
Really?
And and I looked at their roster today, and I'm like looking for someone to pop out as that's why. I don't get it.
They had a pretty good defensive team last year, but now that you say that, like, I can't think of anybody on their team that's would warrant a 6 or 7 ranking. That's kind of wild.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see what they look like, because it has to be for some reason. Like, they must be having a really good preseason. Yeah.
So out of the 5 teams here, Kansas, Kentucky, Gonzaga, Duke, and Virginia, who's most likely to win it all out of those 5 teams, do you think? Just those 5 teams.
I hate to say all the blue bloods, but it's literally a toss-up between Kentucky, Kansas, and Duke. And I'll say Duke for one reason, only because it's Tyus Jones' little brother, Trey Jones, his freshman year. The Final Four is in Minneapolis, where the family lives. Tyus plays there for the T-Wolves. It's like the stars are aligning. Do you know what I mean? And right. RJ Barrett is, like, right now the number 1 consensus draft pick, and he's just been, I don't know if you saw any of the games when they played in Canada, but he's just, how good did he look? Unbelievable.
Yeah. So out of those top 5 teams, who is least likely to not even make it to the Final Four, let's say?
Gonzaga.
Gonzaga? Wow, that was quick. Virginia had the early exit last year.
I know, but they
just can't do that.
They can't do that again. They have a couple kids coming in that I think will help kind of make it a more well-rounded offense. And whatever that guy's name, Hunter, he's back. He was hurt for the tournament. What's his first name? DeAndre Hunter. Yeah.
But still, though, losing to a 16 seed like that, I don't know. You shouldn't lose to a 16 seed just because you lost one guy. Like,
it's funny. Well, they lost 2 guys. They had. Okay. But it's funny because people are always like, "Oh, Virginia plays defense. Defense wins championships. Defense wins." But it's like, if you can't score, right, which they couldn't, right, then you're gonna lose to a 16 seed.
Balance is nice.
Yeah.
So, outside of this top 5, what are you looking forward to most this year, do you think, in college basketball?
There's a few teams. LSU, North Carolina. I'll tell you why. LSU, because of their freshman class coming in. They have Emmett Williams, who's a power forward, talks the most smack that I've ever heard anybody talk. Super powerful. Naz Reid, a 7-footer who's just pure power. And then who's the other guard they have coming in? Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. He's from Texas. Anyways, so then they have, Javante Javonte Smart. He's coming in along. So it's 3 5-stars coming in to Will Wade's group. And like, that definitely puts like a, just kind of a head scratcher. Like, how did you get this? Will Wade, how did you get this great recruiting class? So we'll see if that team actually all stays eligible. I'm really looking forward to North Carolina. They've got Nazir Little and Kobe White joining their team, and then Luke May kind of leading the reins. Kobe is like the best 3-point shooter I've seen in this class, secondly behind Cam Reddish. And then Nazir Little is like, he'll be the number 2 draft pick next year. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them. And then on the West Coast, UCLA, I don't know if you remember that whole shoplifting thing, but now we're going to get, now we're getting Cody Riley back, the big man, and Jalen Hill. So they'll have a little bit more power in the front court.
Okay. I'll tell you what, 2 things I was really looking forward to, watching Zion play, and then I really wanted to see Sharif O'Neal play, but unfortunately it looks like he's going to be sidelined this whole year, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I'm going to toot your horn for you real quick. Last year on the show, you gave us the sleeper of all sleepers, Trae Young. I mean, he lit college basketball on fire, and then he lit the NBA draft on fire with the suit, with the shorts, And then
Yes.
he's obviously been playing well already in the NBA. Who's going to be the guy that we all know at the end of the season that we don't know right now?
I would say there's this guard out of Iowa State called Lindell Wigginton.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right.
I love him.
Yeah.
He kind of, the team wasn't very good last year, and he didn't really step out of his shell and shine the way I thought he would as a freshman.
Yeah.
But this year, like, I even just saw him in their like Midnight Madness, and he like won the dunk contest.
Yeah, he can jump.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
Oak Hill, right?
Yes,
Okay.
he did.
Yeah, I've been watching that dude a long time too. Yeah, that's a good pick actually. Lindell Wigginton. Not a lot of people know about him, and I think you're right. I think people are going to definitely know his name by the end of the year.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Well, that wraps up the interview. Krysten, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. This was fun.
All right, Krysten, thank you very much for coming on, guys. She talks the best basketball. If you don't believe us, just listen to the interview again. So, guys, a little NBA talk. We'll stick on that topic. This week, it came out that the Rockets apparently offered 4 first-round picks for Jimmy Butler. Do you guys like that move for either team?
Yeah, I like it a lot for the Timberwolves. Like, 1, you're not going with anywhere this year. 2, you don't want to pay Jimmy Butler. And 3, Butler doesn't want to be there. So why do you not take these 4 first-round picks from the Rockets and just either A, package them, try to get a better pick to get another young star, or keep them and try to just build up depth? Like, I don't understand why they declined it. I would love to hear the reason why they declined the trade.
Yeah, I mean, 4 first-round picks, I feel like you have... I mean, considering that they aren't going to go anywhere, there's no way the Timberwolves are winning the winning the NBA Finals this year. There's no way they're winning the championship.
No.
So why not just take the first 4 the 4 first-round picks and let the player leave that doesn't even want to be there?
Yeah, no, I agree. And if you're dead set on building around Karl Anthony Towns and Wiggins, like, you're going to have 8 first-round picks over the next few years. You have to be all over it. And for the Rockets, I completely understand why you want to do it. Like, you have a championship window. It is narrow, and you want to win while you have Chris Paul and James Harden there, and you're probably not going to beat the Warriors without a guy like Jimmy Butler. We saw the struggles early. A lot of people point to it because they don't have a guy like Trevor Ariza. Well, Jimmy Butler is Trevor and Ariza and a whole lot more. Yeah. So I love that move. 1 championship is worth 4 first-round picks.
The only thing that scares me from the Rockets side is when Chris Paul gets hurt and you're paying him an ungodly amount of money in a couple of years and you don't have any first-round picks to build any depth on your team, who's going to be playing? Is it going to be a veteran minimum guy as your backup point guard? Like, what's that going to look like?
But, like, as latency
Harden,
the show,
I guess, but...
Latency opened the show. 1 championship can solve a lot of problems.
It does.
I mean, that's... You have to go all in, because do you think they're going to win a championship in Chris Paul's last 2 years there?
Right now, no.
No.
Probably not. Like, you have to do it earlier in the Chris Paul era than later. And I think that's a team that can make things like seamlessly work if you're a good player. I mean, we saw year one at the Chris Paul experiment, like things took off. So I like it for both teams. It's just a no-brainer, and I think that the T-Wolves, if they don't take that trade, it just.
I wonder if
They're going to be kicking themselves in the ass if they don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get rid of the T-Wolves.
Swallow your pride. Sometimes you just gotta swallow your pride in life and do something you don't want to do. This is one of those times where they just need to swallow his pride and trade Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I mean, every day you walk into work, you look at Jimmy Butler and you think, man, he doesn't want to be here. Like,
I don't want to pay this guy.
It's like, just understand you're not winning this year. If you get some first-round picks and a couple of them do turn out to be good, like Kyle Kuzma, where he got drafted, that could be a better pick than where he was drafted.
Yeah.
You could get a really quality player, he could turn into a star, and then 2 years out from being really good.
Yeah,
And
no.
you don't know how good Wiggins and Towns are going to get.
Yeah, I agree. I think both teams should be all over this. So, guys, Ty Lue got fired after his LeBronless Cavs go 0-6. Is that fair?
No, I don't think it's fair at all, actually, Kevin. 6 games into the season after losing the greatest player on the planet, trying to figure out how to win games still, and they fire him. I thought he was going to fire at some point in time this season. Give him, 20, 30 games, see how it goes, but no.
I don't think it's fair to Ty Lue, but I don't think it's a testament to his coaching ability. I think they just see they've got a lot of young players they need to develop, and they don't necessarily think Ty Lue's the guy to. He is probably a better suited coach for a team ready to win a championship or compete than to do a rebuild.
Right.
And I think that's the situation.
Yeah, I think the only way that they were looking at this is just like a whole refresh build. Like just refresh, rebuild mode, getting rid of LeBron. Because an 0-6 start, whenever you are replacing the hardest guy in the NBA to replace, that's understandable. I don't get why they went ahead and did this, especially whenever you've been playing games without Kevin Love, who is far and away your best player at this point. Makes absolutely no sense. So, guys, we have 2 surprisingly great teams. They actually play tonight. I don't know if they've been our first picks to be undefeated through 6 games. Raptors and Bucks. Which team are we buying more into, and which team do you think either of these teams can win the East?
Well, I don't think any teams are great teams yet in the game into the season. But the Raptors look really good. They both look really good. But the Raptors, I know Fletcher likes them a lot. And this is a team that we're going to talk about more. I see on actually happen on the court. I think they could maybe not win the East, but compete with the Celtics in the playoffs in a 7-game series. But Toronto still probably losing 4.
No, well, they don't have to play LeBron this year, Leighton. You completely forgot about that.
I did forget. Shit.
One thing I've noticed about the Raptors is I forgot how dominant and how efficient and how good Kawhi Leonard really is.
Oh, yeah.
He was gone for so long.
Especially coming off that injury that kept him out a whole year.
He had like over 30 points the other night, and you think he missed like 4 or 5 shots from the field, but that's a pretty good night. And then, if you remember last year, the Raptors were pretty deep. That was one of their strongest suits, is that they were a deep team. It's not all they did was get Danny Green and pretty much trade Kawhi for DeRozan.
Yeah, no, that.
So I mean, they probably got deeper.
Yeah, I agree. I really like. I like the Raptors more than I like the Bucks.
I think as a team and like their trajectory, I think so. I think the Bucks though.
John's is really good.
Definitely,
Yeah,
obviously John's is good, but
I think we're past the days of the Bucks being like fringe 8 seed or anything like that. I think the Bucks are probably going to be
locked into the 4-6 seed range.
They're taking steps to become a much better team.
I think these teams are both locked into the top 4. I think that these, you look at the East, it's just really not that good, and we have 2 actually good teams here. I think you have to lock them into that top 4, but I just don't see either of these teams beating the Celtics, and I don't know if I'd call them actually like threats to them. Could you?
Not the Bucks.
Not the Bucks.
Not the Bucks.
I can't do the Bucks.
Give the Raptors at least a fighting chance.
They're
probably going to have the best player in the series with Kawhi.
Yeah, and he when he was playing, like he sprained his ankle against Golden State a couple years ago, and Skip Bayless will go to his grave saying that they would have beaten the Warriors.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But even years before that, Kawhi was taking over games by himself.
Yeah,
I mean, he was winning games for sure.
So on the other side of the coin, we have a pair of playoff favorites in the West, 1-4 records. Rockets and Thunder. Should either team be hitting the panic button through 5 games?
No, I don't think so. The Thunder are closer to doing it because we saw what happened to them last year with it, and brought back Paul George, thinking to get going again this year. Off to a horrible start. Not in the panic button yet, but the Thunder should be looking to make some kind of move or change some kind of thing in the offense.
I think both teams should be freaking out a little bit because last year the Thunder, it was down to they were within a game of not making the playoffs, and the team that got last man out was the Denver Nuggets, and they've had a pretty good start. Though these games could legitimately be the difference. They can obviously turn it around, but and then the Rockets, I think their willingness to go offer a 4 first-round picks shows they are kind of panicking.
Yeah, I agree. I think that definitely signifies panic button whenever you send out 4 first-round picks. And I think that they should be hitting the panic button because you look at this team last year, they were unstoppable, especially at the beginning of the season. They came out firing on all cylinders, and then this year, you lose Trevor Ariza, who's just who you initially thought was just a small piece of the puzzle there, and now you're off to a 1-4 start. I'm kind of understanding whenever it comes to the Thunder, just because Russ did miss a little bit of time. He obviously looks rusty. The only thing I'd be hitting the panic button on with the Thunder is the fact that Russell Westbrook still has not decided to give the ball up to Paul George in last-second shots. The other night, I watched him. He was just chucking things up they didn't even have a chance, and they had a big lead, got completely erased because Russell Westbrook just didn't look at anything other than the rim. So I think the Thunder, like I said all season last year, will find their way. The Rockets, they should be hitting the panic button a little more.
It'll be 2025. We'll be saying, I think the Thunder are going to put it together.
Thunder got it this year. This season.
Dude, it came down to game 86 last year. Whenever they were in the playoffs, I'm they had that big comeback. I'm all right, they got it. They finally figured it out.
Yeah, I know last year you were telling us, I think the team's gonna figure it out. It's game 78. I hope they didn't figure it out the next 4 games.
It's just a switch, dude. They just got to flip it. It's like that Rondo playoff switch. You just go turn it on.
But with the Lakers are going to have a better record this year, and I don't know. One of these teams could miss the playoffs. I doubt it. I don't think the Rockets are going to. I think there's no way. But
yeah, it'll be interesting. Those are 4 teams that I'll keep an eye on because I think it's going to be interesting as things go. Obviously the season hasn't even really heated up. So, guys, we have Diesel in studio, so it is time for Diesel's Doghouse.
All right, so this week we've got people that are staying in the doghouse. We've got people that are entering. Some people have been in there for a long time. They finally get out. Got a lot going on this week. So the Jaguars, there's no way in hell they're getting out from last week. They didn't do one positive thing to change that. I hope they keep digging that hole. The Browns are going to brown. Todd Haley and Hugh Jackson, believe it or not, arguing like high school girls didn't result in wins, and they both got fired because of it. Clayton Kershaw I think he's forever in the postseason doghouse. I don't think that's ever going to change. He's in there by himself now, though. David Price climbed out. So
man.
Yep, did you see that interview of David Price saying how good it felt to have all the cards in his hand and everybody else? He's basically telling everyone else.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
So that was nice to see. And then we just talked about it, but Rockets management, I think letting Trevor Ariza and Luke Mbah-a-Moute go, and maybe two of your best defensive players. Now they're 1-4 and giving up 118 points a game. So
analytics, baby.
Yep, it's working for them. But that's who's in the doghouse now and who's going out. So
I like it. I like that David Price is finally out of the doghouse. Leighton actually made a bet with himself yesterday that if David Price won the game and pitched well, he would buy a David Price Fathead. Fathead did not have one. Leighton tweeted a Fathead, so they actually responded.
They did. They said, we'll see what we can do. So I'm hoping next day or two I get another tweet saying, hey, we got it, and hey, it's also free. Could you ask for it?
That would be awesome. Fathead, you need to hook latency up. That David Price Fathead looked good in here.
You should have got a Pierce Fathead in the Red Sox jersey.
Oh,
that
man.
Would be so cool. You can get one for every team he's played on.
I might get a David Price, Fathead Jr. and a Pierce Fathead Jr. Because half the Price are a big one.
No, you gotta go all in. Big guy. That looks so cool behind you. So guys, Saucy 6-pack of games. We do them every week. This week for week 9. Started off Texans and at the Broncos. Can the Texans make it 6 straight?
Absolutely. Lock it in.
The Broncos, I think the Broncos are going to win this one. They looked better against Kansas City, and then they blew the doors off of was it who they played the week before? I don't remember who it was, but they had a blowout the week before. I think the Broncos win.
Yeah, I think that the Broncos are better than we give them credit for, and the Texans aren't as good as their record. So I think this is a perfect matchup for the Broncos to actually win. Falcons at Redskins. Guys, who do we like?
I like the Falcons. Better than they played.
Yeah, the Falcons are 3-4, Redskins are 5-2, but I think the Falcons are going to win, and that stuff's going to even out a little bit.
Yeah, I think that the Falcons are a lot better than what their record shows, way more talented. OBJ had a huge game against the Redskins. I expect the same out of Julio Jones. I have the Falcons here, and I think that the Falcons might actually turn it into an ugly game. Steelers at the Ravens. I think I know where Diesel's going, but Leighton, let's hear yours first.
I'm gonna go with Steelers too. I think the Ravens, since that week 1 blowout Buffalo, have not been that great of a team. They've just won close games. I think the Steelers come in here and beat them.
I think after the Steelers lost to the Ravens, like after that game, I would have said this one would be a must-win for the Steelers, but it's quite the opposite now. If the Ravens lose this, they're pretty much done with the division. So, but I think the Steelers are gonna win it. They normally find a way to split somehow.
Yeah, I think the Steelers are the much better team, and I just don't see that the Ravens winning this, especially after the way that they looked last week. I mean, they were at the point where they were doing fake punts inside their own 15. So, Chargers at the Seahawks. Should be a good game. Hopefully we don't have to see a Phillip Rivers fourth quarter with less than 2 minutes to go. Leighton?
I'm going with the Seahawks, and Pete Carroll firmly puts his name in the Coach of the Year pool.
I'm going to go with the Chargers. Russell Wilson is a phenomenal player, and I feel like he's willing this team by himself almost, but Chargers I think are going to stay hot.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are going to stay hot. Had a bye week this week. Last week, they didn't look their best, but it was overseas. It's hard to judge, and that was even without Melvin Gordon, who should have had a big game. Melvin Gordon should be back and healthy, and I think Melvin Gordon's going to run all over the Seahawks. Rams at Saints. Guys, where are we going? This could potentially be the NFC Championship game.
I'm going to go with the Saints in the Dome, giving them the first loss.
Yep, they damn near lost last week to a great quarterback. I think the Rams did, but I think the Saints are going to win this one. All good things come to an end.
Yeah, I think this is finally where we see the Rams winning streak go down. The Saints are just a really, really good football team. And you look at what the Rams do really well is that they have to get Todd Gurley going. The Saints, surprisingly, as bad as we've talked about their defense this year, have been the best against the run. So what the Rams need to happen to have a good game will probably get slowed down a little bit, and I've really never seen Breeze slow down in the Dome. So I think it'll be a shootout, but the Saints win. Packers at Patriots. It's actually another really, really good game, tough game for the Packers. Hate to see that kind of stuff, but Leighton, where are you going?
I'm going to go with the Patriots. A lot of points will win this game, but Patriots are going to bring it out.
So what's the Packers record right now?
3-4-1.
I think they're 3-3-1. I thought.
Okay, I think
3-3-1.
This game's getting pretty hyped up. You saw that MJ commercial, all of that on Sunday Night Football. But I think with Gronk playing or looking like he'll play, I think the Patriots are going to win in Foxborough Sunday night. Who's Collinsworth going to talk up the most?
Oh man,
it's going to be like
I'm watching the game on mute.
Yeah.
It'll be like a kid on Christmas.
The best thing about the playoffs for me has been, baseball playoffs have been, those games play at the same time San football game does, so the whole game's always on the other TV on mute.
Yeah, that's definitely a good strategy. You might just have to watch an episode of The Office and listen to that while you watch this game, because nobody in the world wants to listen to Collinsworth. The Patriots have just looked so good, and the wide receiving core is finally starting to come around. Like Josh Gordon, I expect him to have a huge game against Buffalo today. And he had his first 100-yard game as a Patriot last week. I just think that the Patriots are a really, really good football team with a good quarterback, and the Packers are a very, very bad football team with a great quarterback. So, those just don't even out. I think the Patriots are much better, and I don't see Bill Belichick letting them hang around like the Rams did. So, Leighton, it's our time to put you in the spotlight. Leighton goes out each week and watches a movie, and he reviews it on this show. So, guys, it is time for Pip's Entertainment Review. 1 2 1 2 Pip's Entertainment Review. Sit on down for a movie to view.
Well, this week, in honor of Halloween, I went out and saw Halloween. This movie, they brought back Jamie Lee Curtis from the first one. Actually, she was in like 1, 2, 3. Not in 4, she's in like H2O, Resurrection. I don't know. Halloween got really funky there for a while. So when they brought it back, they decided we're going to avoid all storylines from all the sequels. So basically, this is a direct sequel from the very first one. And if you think the movie's going to scare you, it probably won't. There'll definitely a few like, jump scares, basically. And it's creepy for a little bit, but I don't like scary stuff, and it didn't scare me at all, so don't be afraid about that. The movie itself, it did a really good job of playing off what the very first Halloween did good. You know, young female protagonist, especially running from Michael Myers the entire movie, and basically just not believing what she's saying until the very end she actually comes face to face with Michael Myers, the boogeyman. And who did a very good job of doing all that stuff. Jamie Lee Curtis absolutely brought it. She did a great job. This movie, though, not that great. Probably could have done without making it. I'm going to go with 1.7 dips.
Oh, wow, that's low.
The formula worked really well, but the first one wasn't that great either. It is a classic. Back in 1978, absolutely, that movie kind of defined the slasher genre. This movie trying to remake it, and it kind of feels like doing that. So for that reason alone, we're like us some points, get 1.7 dips.
That's a bummer.
I mean, it was a good movie. Like I liked it,
I'm
but
planning
like
on seeing this one.
I liked it, but like a lot of time I get the dips out, I think, and we're gonna watch it again. I can't start watching this movie again.
All right. You know Danny McBride, actually, Danny McBride is one of the top 5 greatest actors of all time. He's actually had a part in this. Like, he didn't play in the movie, but he had a part in, like, producing it or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure what he did, but I know he had something to do with Halloween.
The movie does have some laughs in it. Some laughs
Really?
in it. Yeah. So
Had to be Danny
that could be all when Danny came in.
Danny said, I'm going to step up and hit a home run. Here, guys, this is my specialty. Make you laugh during Halloween. That's what Danny McBride does. This kind of disappointing, though. I just wish Danny McBride would have had, like, his mullet hanging out of the bottom of the Michael Myers mask and been Michael Myers himself. Like, that would have been awesome. And then at the end of the movie, they take the mask off and it's Danny McBride laying there. So, guys, any bold predictions this week?
This go along with the take that I had earlier that I didn't get to say. I'm going to bet the Cubs now at plus 1,000, so 10 to 1 win the World Series, because they're going to sign Bryce Harper.
Ooh, I love that. I hope we do sign Bryce Harper. That is a good take, and I fully support it.
It's a good value bet.
Diesel, what is your bold prediction?
I'll go ahead and back what you say. That'd be great if the Cubs are there. But I think the Red Sox are going to go back to the World Series next year. October 29th, I guess, is what today is, so mark it down.
My bold prediction, I'm gonna have 2. I say the first bold prediction is that the College Football Playoff Committee actually puts Alabama and LSU 1 and 2, just so we have a 1 and 2 matchup, like we talked about last week with how they bumped Florida above UCF to have that 9 and 7. I think they're going to do that, and I also think Northwestern will beat Notre Dame this weekend. Notre Dame's played way too many close games to for the bubble not to burst at some point. And Northwestern has kind of been just that slow it down, grind it out football team. They lost a 3-point game to Michigan. Since then, they've won 4 straight. They've been pretty hot. 3 or 4, I think 3 straight, actually. They've won 3 straight. Just beat Wisconsin, coming off that big win. I think that they're going to go beat Notre Dame. Guys, anything else before we wrap this thing up?
Make sure to listen to Home Hysteria this Tuesday. We'll definitely hit on all the topics we hit on in more depth and more.
And on that note, for Drake, for Leighton, and Diesel and his doghouse, Dippers, as always, stay saucy.